Welcome to Silicon Valley Successes. On today's show, we're going to learn how this potato is the key to corporate profits, and my guest will explain how. My guest today is John Farley, who you have seen on ABC, NBC, and PBS as the original fitness hypnotist, and a consultant producer for this very show. Accompanying him is Tommy Beal, who has studied the profession of copywriting under the famous John Carlton, and in the past 3 years has worked with businesses in over 11 industries. Together, we are going to learn the power of words. Tommy, John, welcome to Silicon Valley Successes.
Thanks for having us, Sean.
Delighted to be here.
All right, guys. Now, both of you guys have this amazing background. Give the audience at home a little bit of intro into each of yourselves. John, could you give a little background?
So I studied hypnosis, and what fascinated me was words, how words can change a person's mind. Because essentially a hypnotist is about changing a person's mind. But words can do that too. And they do that in the form of copy, but just so the audience knows, we're talking about ad copy. We're not talking about trademarks or patents or any of that stuff. So I got into it because I was a personal fitness trainer and I had to get clients. And so I wrote letters to attract people to what I was offering, which was personal training.
Oh, wow. So the letters you're writing convinced the random people to become your clients and change their whole life?
So the first thing I had to do is, first I had to learn it, right? So I had to learn how to get people's attention. So what you did with the potato was hopefully you got the viewer's attention.
The potato is John's idea for everyone at home.
In case they're wondering.
Yeah.
So the potato it's kind of a weird thing, right? You haven't done a potato show before.
I don't think anyone has.
I don't think anyone has. So
Yeah.
it kind of breaks their preoccupation, gets their attention, and that's really the first key. That's really the first key. But then you have to do something else. So here, take this straw. So here's what I'd ask you to do. Put this straw, see if you can put this straw through the potato. Okay, so that was actually better than most people. Most people attempt to do this, they go like this, and they can't get it through. But so if you take it like this, and you go, it goes right through.
Wow.
So what does that have to do with anything? It has everything to do with everything. You want your message to go through and to the prospect. You want to communicate. So the first thing is impact. You hold it up. Hey, you're going to learn how a potato has to do with profits. Breaks your preoccupation. But now we got to get that message to you. What most people do is they talk and they use words and people are confused. So it's as if they're trying to get this thing through and they can't get it through. But if you can use a simple language, boom, it goes right in, it's through, they get the message. So wow. That's communication. And then the last part is persuasion. So you got to persuade. So if you don't persuade, that's the difference between a copywriter and just a writer or, say, a content writer. So a content writer is someone who writes for education, entertainment, that sort of thing, information. But a copywriter, the difference is they want to persuade you to do something.
Tommy.
Yep.
Can you take a straw and stab it through a potato?
Yes.
No, you've never tried.
I just watched him do it. So
see, that's the thing. Now he knows the secret.
I know the secret to
Tell me
potato
about your background.
success.
What got you interested in copywriting?
Okay, so when I was around, so ever since I was a kid, I knew I'd be in business.
Okay.
Because my dad has always been an entrepreneur. A lot of people in my family have been. I just kind of knew it. And so when I was 16 years old, I grew a YouTube channel to 16,000 subscribers, and it was just fun for me. But I learned how powerful it was to study what other people were doing, and I figured out that on YouTube, the most powerful thing is just a little line of words that describes the video. It's called the title. And most people, they just throw something in there last minute. But if you actually really take the time to study it, you'll realize that pretty much all the big people on YouTube obsess over that little line. So that was kind of like my first introduction. And then when I was 18 years old, I was sitting in my dad's office, and it was bugging me because my dad's business was having trouble. Like, it always seemed to be having trouble. And I wished I could just do something to help. And I was listening to this podcast by this guy named Tony Robbins, and which he's trained with Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Which,
And I've
on a side note,
we've shaken hands. Okay.
on a side note. And so what happened, I was listening to a podcast, he brought on this guy who's arguably the greatest marketer alive, Jay Abraham. He's grown over 10,000 businesses. They call him the $21 billion man because that's how much he's generated for people. Anyways, I heard him talking about marketing, and I'm like, dang, this stuff's really cool. And before, I always thought it was super boring, something old people do.
Okay.
And
people over 25.
yeah, but then ever since that day, I kept studying it. I mean, I got so excited about it. The first time I heard it, it took me 3 hours to get through a 50-minute recording, and I was so excited to write down a bunch of ideas. I got my dad's team together. I met with my dad, and we had a meeting, and I told him we need to do this, this, and this to grow the business. And everyone's like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll give you this feedback and that. And the next day, nobody did anything. And it like depressed me. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I thought everybody wanted to grow the business. And that was something I had to learn again and again for like the first 8 industries I worked for. It's that if you want something done, you actually have to go in and do it yourself. So I thought like if we figured out what people needed to do and the right advice, that people would just do it. But it almost never happens. So I figured, eventually I realized, okay, I gotta specialize in one part of marketing and then just go in and do it for them, because I can't expect people to do things for me. I just gotta handle it. And so that's how I started focusing on copywriting, because that's a super important part of marketing. It's your words and using words to persuade people. And so that's how I decided to focus on that, and having a lot of fun ever since. And yeah.
So then when you're reading ads or copy, what makes good copy? What is that?
So, well, let's go back to our potato. So the first thing, it's got to grab your attention, because if you don't notice it, it's useless. So usually the headline, that's going to get, if we divide it into 5, right? 4 of the 5 units of attention, let's call it, is going to go to the headline. So you got to get people's attention. So when you started your monologue, you had a potato, talked about how a potato relates to corporate profits. That should hook people, if they're interested at all. And then from there, now we gotta communicate the message. We gotta get simple, and then we gotta persuade. So
what would your recommendations be for a startup when they're creating their first marketing campaign?
So this I've seen a few times. Like, companies think it's just words. There's an assumption, hey, I'm a good speaker, I'm a good writer, I know what I'm talking, I can communicate this clearly. And yet they have no, it's like they're trying to, I can communicate this clearly, and they can't get through to the reader, to the listener. They really can't, but they think they can. And then they find out later, after they've done ads, after they've written a brochure, after they've done a website, and they go, how come nobody is signing up for our thing? How come nobody's opting into our list? How come nobody's calling our phone number? How come nobody's taking the action that we thought they were going to take? And the answer is because the words were ineffective.
But usually what ends up happening is someone does it through Facebook. For example, they do ads through Facebook. And when it doesn't work, then they say, oh, Facebook ads don't work. Mm-hmm. Or if they run it in a newspaper and it doesn't work, they go, oh, newspaper advertising doesn't work. It's a total letdown. But in reality, like a very serious copywriter who spends tons of his time obsessing over words and writing, he may have to write 80 ads to get one that's a winner.
So then how are they testing these ads then?
You you try to do it in small, safe ways, and it's really easy to do with Facebook advertising nowadays.
Okay, so you'd use Facebook advertising to do little campaigns.
Yeah.
Tweak the results or tweak the words till you get results.
Yeah.
And then once you get those results, then just pour the money in, let it go.
Yeah, I mean, see, here's
Kinda
the
like
thing.
that, yeah.
Most of the ads that are run online or anywhere else are going to fail. So probably 80% are going to fail. Even if you're good, like they're going to fail. So...
Because people are complicated. It's really tough to guess what's going to click with someone.
And you don't know until you run it, and then you find out. And there could be there could be a whole bunch of reasons why. Maybe it was too small of a target audience. Maybe it was the wrong message. Maybe, on and on. Maybe it ran at the wrong time. Lots of different possibilities.
Would you consider maybe different fonts or bad fonts? Would that be considered part of copyright,
Absolutely.
or is that not even part of it?
It's definitely part of it. So one copywriter that I know, famous guy, he will do what they call a drop letter as the first letter in like a sales letter. When I say the first letter, I mean like the first letter to a word. He'll make it, what that means is the letter is extra giant and it drops down on the page. And so the theory is the eye is going to follow that. But you're bringing up another good point, and that is, what about images? What about colors? What about all these things? So I noticed, McDonald's, yellow and red, right? We all know that. So yellow and red are very powerful colors in advertising and whatnot. And so if you said to a business, hey, why don't you use yellow and red like McDonald's, their first reaction might be, well, that's McDonald's. I mean, I got a serious business here. I mean, we talk about money, or we talk about finance, or we talk about, well, I just noticed that Wells Fargo just repainted its ATMs yellow and red. It might be slightly different hue than McDonald's, but same colors, same basic colors, because they know, right? I mean, Wells Fargo's hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
They're not going to mess up, right? They're not using pink,
Yeah.
right? And so the colors are important. The font is important. In the old days, it used to be, hey, just send out a letter, put it in the mail, and. But nowadays, online, etc., even brochures, images, colors, fonts, all of it can matter. Absolutely. Even how close are the lines? Are you putting them this close? Are you putting them this close? I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot, and you never know. For example, there was a test that was done for a financial thing, and the writer said, if you invest in this thing, your money will go up X%. Response was here. Then they changed it. If you invest in this product, you may have an increase. And there was like a 200% difference in response. Just one word. One word.
That happens all the time.
So then, you'd mentioned fonts, colors, spacing, all this. What type of background or training do most copywriters have that someone like me would have no idea you've studied?
I'll let Tommy answer that.
What type of background do they have? Like,
How do you get the knowledge to be a copywriter? I mean, I'm guessing you guys aren't farmers.
yeah. Well, a lot of people, it seems like they fail at everything else until they find it. That's the first step. But it's just, what it comes down to is like, being able to understand other people and put yourself in someone else's shoes. Because like,
That's a great point.
When you think about all those different things and stuff, it can get a little overwhelming. But the important thing is just to think about how can I communicate something to someone else so they get it. It's all about understanding and obsessing over them, so that way you can communicate to them.
So if I can,
Yeah, it's getting a little messy there.
it's a lot like a lot of professions or jobs, right? It's your experience, So let's say you're looking to hire a copywriter. You say, well, what have you done? And if they answer, well, nothing,
Yeah.
or I wrote a fictional story about whatever. No, we'll get to that. That's not a copywriter. That's not a copywriter. But if they say, well, I did this letter, this sales letter, and I generated X, response or a certain amount of profit or something like that, now they're building a track record until you get to the top copywriters and they can say, yeah, I did this campaign, we mailed to this many people, we got this amount of response, we made this much profit. Like they can, just like pretty much almost like any salesperson who's going to talk for a living, they can say, well, here's what I've done, here's my track record, and you can rely on that. And a lot of times, like in the corporate world, they'll say, well, let's see what ads you've done. Let's see who you've worked for. Yeah. So most of the time, it's like you start at the bottom rung and you climb your way up. Or you have your own business, which a lot of people do,
yeah.
and they become their own copywriter, and they just learn through trial and error.
Wow.
Yep.
This has been amazing information on Silicon Valley successes, potato. To find out more, visit us at siliconvalleysuccesses.com. Contact or follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and learn more about what's happening here in Silicon Valley, tips and tricks that can help you out, potato. All right, John, Tommy, what does a copywriter charge for this service? I mean, if I'm just doing a little Google ad or a 2,000-word sales letter,
yep.
I'm sure the prices aren't the same.
It's super simple, kind of like what John was talking about there. It's like what a good salesman would charge you. So like the better he is, the more expensive it's going to be.
Okay.
Because the more money he can make you. So it's basically like that. You basically just think of it as a salesman. So like the lower end guys, the guys that are newer to it, they might charge you, $5,000 for a month of work or something like that. And the higher end guys will charge you like $15,000 to start a project, and they'll $15,000 up front, and they'll take like 5% of all the profit that their ads generate forever.
Wow.
Now in the corporate world, I mean, I get promotions all the time. Big companies looking to hire a copywriter, they'll typically pay anywhere from $30 to $65 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And if you're a brand new copywriter, how do you start off? How do you get those first few gigs?
You become a shameless whore.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You
Potato.
you take every job you can get, and you just get experience under your belt, and eventually a few things start to click, and you get some successes, and you can show it to other people, or other people see who you're studying under, things like that, and then you just build it up over time,
So do anything to build your portfolio.
Yeah.
Well, and so like in a lot of things, like personal trainers,
Yeah.
right? They'll start off if they've got no, depending on their education, depending on their background, they're just looking for clients. They may even take on free clients for a testimonial. But so here's the important thing. Yeah. If you're writing copy, you need proof. So if I'm saying to you, this potato is going to make your company profits, I can say that, and that may get your attention, but now I got to prove it. Yeah. Now I got to show you some proof. And if I've got 5 or 10 or 20 people and they all go, you know what, this potato made us 25, then I've got some proof, because that's what it's all about. It's all about, the copywriter's job is to prove to you that whatever product or service that they want you to engage in or buy does what they claim it does. And to the extent that you believe that, you buy, and to the extent that you don't, you won't.
Now, can copywriters come in and help startups with their pitch for investors or their story for the customers? How can copywriters help that early stage 2, 3, 4 person team?
Yep. And how about we show you, okay? So
he's got a lot of energy.
This is a company that I just became a co-owner of, and we are just in the process of figuring out how to sell this. Okay? So John and I can show you. So I'll just show you the product real quick. Okay?
Okay. Stand here
Right
so
here.
the camera can get you.
This is Silicon Valley Successes. Okay.
Great.
All right. So this is like a mix between a kettlebell and
Just look that way.
and a medicine ball and a few other things, and it's designed to travel because you can take the water out of it and just put it in your suitcase. So you can do like kettlebell swings, or you can do like dips, and you can do stuff on the ground. Am I allowed to go on the ground?
No. Let's keep, because right now we got to focus on
Okay.
that one camera
All
so
right.
everyone home can
Okay.
see you.
All right, so you can use it for different things, and some people like this because it has like this fluid motion because there's water in it. When you come to a stop, it kind of pushes it a little further. So it's kind of interesting. So some tennis players use it, and an
All
astronaut
right,
uses it.
sit back down.
All right, so we have a product here. How would a copywriter approach this?
So that's quite the challenge, because I looked at that, I looked at the videos for this, and so here's the thing, like when you have, if it was obvious that this was a great thing, then it'd be easy to sell. It'd be like if you needed a mug. I don't need to write 50 pages to get you to buy a mug. If you need a mug and you want a mug, all I got to say is, we got a great mug, and you buy it.
Yeah.
But with this, I mean, you didn't wake up today and say, I need this thing. So,
Yeah.
and how does it compare to a kettlebell, or how does it compare to a medicine ball? And so the copywriter's got to do a ton of research, and he's got to really think about, like, what's the angle? Like, what's the positioning? Like, why this? Why would you pay good money for this thing? And that can be hard. I mean, that can be quite hard, and that's, and it may not be possible. So,
So, in your research before the show,
Yeah,
what were some of the things you came up with
yeah.
for this amazing device here
Yes.
to sell it.
to sell it?
Yes. So far, the first thing I'm figuring out is, well, I'm studying the competition and the people who we can sell it to, and I'm figuring out that actually, so originally this was marketed by a husband and a wife, and they tried to say this could be used for men, and this could be used for women, and this could be used for everybody. But the thing is, as a copywriter, we know that nobody likes to be a part of a massive group. We want to know that you're talking to me. I want to know you're talking to me. I want it unique. And so when it came out to working out, I've figured out so far that first off, you can't make something for guys and girls.
Yeah.
And if you want proof of that, there's men's fitness and women's fitness, but there's not men and women's fitness magazines. I mean, men's fitness, And then I figured out that guys are very interested in six-packs, and they're very interested in watching videos that don't just tell them how to do it, but actually do the workout with them, and they want it to be right about 10 minutes. 10 minutes is the sweet spot. And then women are actually not interested in six-packs. They're interested in the flat stomach. So, and so the women, they like a bright setting. They like a girl in yoga pants, nice long hair, things like that. And guys tend to like more of a grimy, dark room, dude shredded.
So you're
sweats
talking about more
pouring
the
down him.
ambience of the videos itself, and you're gathering information there that you're then going to later incorporate into the copywriting?
Yes. yeah.
Okay.
And then the copywriting will go into videos we use and content and everything, because all of communications is words, So, anyways, that's how I'm approaching it so far.
Okay.
Well, I would say, and so words get turned into pictures in the mind.
Yeah.
So we call that word pictures. So for example, do you want me to show you this book?
This is a cool book.
Let me hold it up for the camera right there.
So you see that on the front of that there are a couple words, a few words, and there are two images. And so the idea with this is not an ad. This book is not an ad book. It's a story. But I wrote it with a copywriter flair to it, meaning that I wanted it. You're reading the back. Yeah, I can tell you're reading the back. And but the images on the front are meant to entice and to get people's attention. So there you go.
And for anyone at home, if you read the back of this book, you would be deeply concerned about whoever wrote it.
Well,
I read the whole thing after I read the back.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. And with that, with the time left, John, Tommy, what other information do you think a startup out there needs to know about copywriting and the power of words?
Well, they need to actually think that it's important, because I've noticed that a lot of startups, especially in Silicon Valley, are focused on innovation, technology. They pitch, they think, oh, I just got to talk about the technology. But they don't realize that half the time nobody knows what they're saying. The other half of the time, it's still not clear, even if they kind of get what they're saying. It's still not really crystal clear. And then they don't make a call to action. So I would say they need to appreciate that what's written, how they present, is critically important.
Tommy, what do you want to add to this?
Read one book and you'll be good.
What do you mean by one book?
It's called Scientific Advertising, and it's by a guy named Claude Hopkins. And all the great marketers say you need to read that book. Even I don't know if you ever heard of Ogilvy Advertising.
No.
Okay.
David Ogilvy.
Yeah, big advertising agency. David Ogilvy said, I don't believe anyone should be allowed to be in marketing until they've read that book 7 times. It's a simple book, and it was written in the 1900s, and it was designed to be timeless. So he focused on aspects of human nature he learned. This was a ridiculously successful advertiser. I don't think we'll ever see someone so successful ever again. And he just focused on parts of humans that will never change. So if you just read that, it'll help give you the right perspective. But if you want to save a little time, basically it comes down to realizing that it's about serving other people. And a marketer's job, a salesman's job, is to serve other people. And part of that is you need to think through how you're talking to people, because they may not actually be understanding you. And it may take a little bit of work to actually figure out how to properly communicate to people. And maybe you should take the time to study and learn how to communicate, or hire someone who can help you, because if people don't understand you, how are they ever going to be able to buy what you have? So.
And with that, John, Tommy, 30 seconds. Your ideal customer, how can people get a hold of you?
So for me, as the fitness hypnotist, I focus on helping people lose weight, get out of depression, anxiety, that sort of thing. They can go to fitnesshypnotist.com, and if they're a business and they want to bring in mindfulness meditation or things of that nature, I can help them there.
Tommy.
My ideal client is somebody who's someone who has something that they know helps people, but they're really just having trouble getting people to understand them.
And how can people get a hold of you?
You just go to tommybeal.com. It's very blank and very mysterious right now.
tommybeal.com.
But you can contact me through that.
And with that, everyone at home, thank you. This is the end of season 1 of Silicon Valley Successes, 40 episodes, and I hope through this potato you learned a great deal today. Thank you again, everyone. It's been a great season 1.
Thank you from all of us at Silicon Valley Successes. We hope you found the information presented today useful in your path to success. For further information on accessing the resources in Silicon Valley, you may visit us on the web at siliconvalleysuccesses.com, on Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you.